All right, so which residency should you be doing? Should you do the Mexican residency, which then could lead to Mexican citizenship, a Mexican passport, or should you be looking at the Mauritian residency, which can then lead to the Mauritian citizenship in future? So in this video, I'm going to discuss. So there's a lot of there's a split between. It's almost like a 50-50 split. A lot of people are heavily interested in Mexico versus rest of the people are interested in Mauritius. And I get a lot of interesting calls where people are interested in knowing which one is the best, which one do I prefer between the two options. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of each option, which is the best one in your circumstances. Each one's circumstances is different, but I'm going to discuss both options in a lot more detail. But before I get started, make sure you're subscribed and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss out on any of the important news and analysis regarding any of the RCBI options. And in case you were new, I'm Jay, and here we discuss investments that lead to residencies, citizenships, and a whole lot more. All right, so what are the big advantages of the Mexican option, right? So first big advantage is that it's cheap, it's very easy to obtain, very flexible residency. So if you're starting off with a temporary residency, there's no specific physical presence requirement other than what you have quoted to the immigration. So let's say you got this for a specific reason. As long as you're staying true to that reason, it's flexible residency, right? So that's the big advantage. Secondly, it's closer to home if you are from US or Canada. A lot of Westerners, for that reason, really like the Mexican option because it's cheap, it's fast, it's very close by. So a couple of hours back and forth, let's say from Texas or Florida, it's a no-brainer from a travel perspective. Food is nice, you're familiar with the food, people nice, and so those are some of the big advantages. One of the biggest negatives is that a lot of the country does not speak English, so your only option is to learn Spanish. And eventually, if you really want to be a part of the country, then you should be fluent in Spanish if you are looking to do good in Mexico. The second disadvantage, according to me, is the pollution levels in Mexico City. So that is one of the most important cities in Mexico. So if you're coming from a Western city, and if you're looking to establish home in Mexico, then you're probably thinking of Mexico City. So with the pollution levels being very high, that's a big disadvantage. Now I have covered the entire option, including my interview with my attorney. She's one of the fastest attorneys that I have seen in Mexico City, and that's the reason why I prefer her. I do have options in other places of Mexico based on where one is looking to get their immigration done from. But if you have missed that interview and the all-important interview, I'm not only covering the options, but I'm also covering the country in general. A lot of valuable information. So if you have missed that video, you can return and check this link. This covers the entire journey in a lot more detail with particular emphasis on Mexico City. So those are the advantages and disadvantages. Now let's shift focus to Mauritius. Again, a tank of a passport, a very exotic option. Unlike Mexico, Mexico is a big country, right? So you have safety concerns in certain parts of Mexico. So if you are picking your pockets wisely, then you should be good. But if you are overall considering that as a country and you want to be freely moving around, then you would face certain safety concerns in certain locations. So that's not the case with Mauritius for a large extent. It's a very small country, very safe, very, very safe overall. Obviously, crime can happen anywhere at any time. But if you consider the two options, then Mauritius, you'll be more safer in more places all the time. So that is one of the biggest advantage. The second and the most important advantage with Mauritius is that it's English speaking country. So if you are from any of the Western countries, if in general you are moving to a new country, then being able to survive in English. That is the main advantage. A lot of people are not looking to learn a new language, especially let's say you're 50, you're between 50 and 60, you're looking to retire. You don't want to deal with learning any new language. Then Mauritius has that all English option, which is a big advantage for a lot of people. The Mauritian option is also fairly cheap. If you're looking for the retirement route, it's approximately $1,000 in government fees. If you're looking to establish a business, again, you don't have to hire people, which is one of the biggest plus points. Some countries, when you're immigrating through business, you need to hire people, which is a lot of pain for a lot of people. They're not looking to hire people necessarily. But with Mauritius, as long as you're transferring a very modest capital into the country, then you can structure the business without hiring people. And again, at $1,000 approximately, you can get started with the permanent residency in Mauritius. There's also the real estate option where you put 375K and you can that way qualify for the Mauritian option. And if you have missed my detailed coverage on the Mauritius option, I work with one of the best and the fastest consultancy. It's a lawyer, but it's not a law firm. It directly works with immigration on processing these applications. But if you want to get started with your Mauritian option, I work with one of the best consulting firms in Mauritius. You can return and check this video. This covers a lot of information about Mauritius. You can always click the link in the description, book a call with us, and we can discuss if this is the best option for you and get you started with our consultancy in Mauritius. So that's that. I think which one is better, right? I think if you are two things. If you are from the West, let's say US or Canada, and you don't mind learning the language or you already know Spanish, then Mexico would have an advantage because it's closer to home. It has a lot more variety, a lot more options. But if you're looking for a slightly exotic passport, a slightly different option, more diversified option, you want to deal with all English, you want an exotic, safe location to travel. Maybe it's not your full-time residency, you're not moving there for the rest of your life. You're splitting, let's say a couple of months in a year or slightly more. And if you're looking for tax benefits, tax advantages, then obviously Mauritius makes a lot more sense. With Mexico, it's a traditional system. You're not looking at a lot of tax advantages as compared to Mauritius, but Mauritius will get some unique benefits in that regard. So I think different strokes for different folks. It all depends upon where you're from, what you're looking for, what's your end goal with getting this option. And that really decides which option is the best. In my opinion, I think both are great. If Spanish is not an issue, then Mexico is good. If you're looking for all English, exotic location, a lot of people from Asia would gravitate more towards the Mauritian option, because especially people from, let's say, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Mauritius has direct connectivity to Asia. So that makes it a good center point, good connectivity. So let's say you're going from a Western country, landing in Mauritius, spending your time. Let's say you have your onward journey to one of the Asian countries, then Mauritius provides you with that safe pathway, that safe connected plan B option, which connects you with Asia. Overall, I think they stand equal based on your use case. Now, if you are interested in getting started with either of these options, you can reach us using the link in the description. Again, as I said, we can have a discussion. What's the best in your situation? We can get you started with the option of your choice. We have very strong attorneys in both Mexico as well as Mauritius. They are the fastest in what I have seen in respective jurisdictions. All right, I hope you liked this comparison. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subbed, and catch you in the next one.